Well, everybody, hello. My name is Anne Langner. I'm representing the Demokratisch, which is initiated by the Austrian government to support dialogue amongst young people about democracy. We have got a special guest. It's Ron Jones tonight. And we have got 4 young people aged 17, 18. Yes? Okay.
68.
68. Well, they have already been watching the movie, and I guess there are a lot of questions. And I just hand over the mic to who wants to start.
The teacher in the movie, he hadn't have any plan before he started the experiment. Have you had a plan? Did you know did you know what were you going to do?
The first day I did. The very first day I did plan that out, how to give the students the feeling of what it would be like to be in a fascist state. I darkened the room, I played Wagnerian music, I put the seats in order, I took down all the bulletin boards, James Brown came down, and I thought that would be enough. The students would have a sensation of what it would be like to be in a dictatorship, and I thought that would be enough. But to my surprise, the students came back the second day, and their eyes were twinkling, and their mouths were zippered, and they were saying, let's keep Mr. Jones going, and see where it leads, could be entertaining. And tragically, my mind also clicked into curiosity, and I thought, okay, I'll go on. And it was very improvisational, the idea of presenting not only discipline, but then community and then action. They were all spontaneous.
When I read the book, I couldn't believe that this really would be possible to happen, because everybody has his or her own mind and would think that cannot be possible. But when I saw the movie, I saw that the pupils were very they felt the teacher. They did what he wanted to do, and it went on so quick, and nobody had the time to reflect it and to think about it. And that's why I liked it, because also I could relate to it. I saw that it would be possible in our class too, or in our school. And now my question. I wanted to know if you have contact to the pupils from this class and what they think afterwards.
That's a great question. Do I have contact with the students today? Well, I live in San Francisco, so I'm in close proximity to Palo Alto, where it took place. So students often visit, but now they bring their children. It's kind of strange to get on the door and here's some tall person saying, these are my kids. But I'm very fortunate, because not only do I have contact, but the students are making a documentary. They were here in Berlin, and it's going to be really thrilling for me, because I know what happened through my perspective, but I don't know what happened every day in their lives outside the classroom with the families. And when they put that collage together, you'll get a very full picture of what happened. For instance, one of the students was telling me that I'd passed out those cards with the red X's. And I forgot to even mention that when I was writing about it. It just skipped over. And this student, Philip Neal, was telling me that, Ron, what happened to me is I told my best friend something that I had done. And the next day you came into class and you stood next to me and you said, I understand that you talked to your parents about this. And he had only told his best friend. And he just felt stunned that I knew his best friend had talked to me about what he had said in privacy. And he said, I lost my best friend that day and have not had that friend for 40 years. So it's intriguing to hear what these students are telling me now about their experience. One woman, Alicia Hess, didn't come to the large rally. She was left behind in a room. I didn't know that. And she said she sat in the classroom, which was vacant, except for 4 bodyguards stood around her. And she said she was just afraid. So it's going to be intriguing to get that kind of information.
So maybe I'm not saying anything new, but I like the movie too. Because there was this German feeling, like I said before, and it felt familiar to our situation here. And the first movie was so American and not European. And my question is that, what happened at the end?
That's a good question. What took place in 1967 was I had invited the students to a large rally, and they entered their way into this big assembly. And I had told them that they were going to meet their, quote, leader, that this was taking place throughout the United States. This select group was going to stand up and change the world. And of course, when I turned on the TV, it was basically static, and then a few moments later, the image came on, and it was Hitler, and it was the Holocaust. And then Steve Caniglio, who had asked the very first question, stood up and said, "Mr. Jones, there is no leader, is there?" And he burst out of the room. Oddly enough, he was the same student that asked the question that started the experiment: how could the Germans behave as they did after the war, claim the Holocaust never existed? So I turned to that assembly and said, "I suspect you'll leave this rally and you'll never admit to being here." And for 10 years that basically took place. There was just silence about the wave. We talked about it personally and individually, about how to reinvent ourselves, how to give ourselves back dignity and worth. But for 10 years, it was our secret. And then one day I'm buying underwear over in Berkeley, California, and a student came up and gave me the salute, and I go, "Oh, Jesus." And I went home and wrote it out that night and gave it to a friend that ran a magazine, and it was published. That magazine article became the TV drama.